And welcome to Season 3, Episode 8 of the Helping Children Learn podcast here at the Carbon-Lehigh Intermediate Unit number 21, servicing all 14 public school districts, including private schools and charter schools in the Carbon and Lehigh County areas. Today's conversation is caring for caregivers, and I'm here with two of our most excitable supervisors, Bridget Messa and Katie Ravenel. Ladies, how are we today?
Doing well, thanks. How are you, Dominic?
Your energy was different.
No,
Why are you shy now?
Amazing. I was told that I need to wait my turn to speak, so that's my goal for today.
Well, it's funny because I actually tell people, no, this isn't formal, trip over each other. This is a conversation like we're sitting, like we're at a restaurant.
Yeah.
Take her advice and my advice, try to mix it together, whatever works for you.
I'm on it.
So the reason that I have you ladies in here today is because we're talking about caring for caregivers, and you two had a very lovely professional development with all sorts of stuff that I probably wouldn't have thought of. So we're talking about educators and parents of special needs children. We have over 1,000 employees. How many of those are in classrooms? At least 2/3 of that. So we're talking about 600 educators or 500 educators. And we do have to make sure that they are doing okay, when they go home or on their summers off. So as far as taking care of our parents and taking care of our teachers, how does caring for caregivers help our children learn in the long run?
Well, being in the human services field, which is, what we are, the people that work in this field, the people that work at the IU, that work in the direct line with the students, that are day in, day out, doing absolutely grueling, sometimes an excellent work with our students, they sometimes it's be very easy for them to forget how to take care of themselves. And if they are not working at their own top capacity as best they can be, then that is in turn going to affect the students. If we aren't good, then the people around us aren't good. So that kind of was the driving force of what we were thinking about when planning for this professional development that came in. We also, we work human services work, special education work. It's a thankless job. It is nobody is doing this for esteem, for financial gains.
No, this is purely, as they say, for the love of the game.
Absolutely. It's the passion that drives people. And that's why our employees, our teachers, our instructional assistants, our ASIs, everybody that's working in the field, that's exactly why they are there. But as supervisors and as leadership of the IU, we're constantly worried about making sure that they're doing the best for their students, but we need to start taking care also of them and helping them to take care of themselves too. And that essentially was the basis for the brainstorming of and development of the professional development that we had.
Just to add on too, and you really talked about the educators, but to look closer at the parents of our students with disabilities. Mm-hmm. Oftentimes what I hear at IEP meetings is it's very isolating. Caring for a child with special needs, and let's be really clear here, our kids are low incidence, which means that they are some of the most complex learners with some of the most complex behaviors. Our parents really feel like they are unable to take a vacation, take a weekend, or even a night away. These are parents that there are no latchkey kids. They have to be home to get them off the bus, to put them on the bus. Our kids historically don't sleep really well. So these are parents that are physically exhausted.
And that's the one time in the day of especially a new parent that you're looking forward to is bedtime. So you get that hour or two to yourselves, and you're saying they don't even get that. So it is like a 24-hour job.
And
absolutely. And they probably work full time too. So it's like a lot to talk about.
Yeah, there is.
And there's a lot of stress.
And I think Katie and I are both newer supervisors to this IU, but we both have an extensive background and experience with working with this population. So luckily for us, we kind of fell into an easy friendship at work with very like-minded plans and ideas. And it's really nice to just find that cohesiveness, because that's how you move programs forward, is to have people in leadership that understand where each other are going, and then to build up our own strengths and to support each other's weaknesses. So I think that's kind of something that we're both grateful that we fell into here.
So we're going to get into this unconventional self-care, wellness, professional development we had Then we'll go into some tips and advice for parents and educators out there. I'm sure they can fit for both. But let's start with acupuncture in an inversion chair, throwing fabric up into the air. And I know it doesn't look like much, big, massive crocheted blankets. But right, there's a science to all this, right? So if you go onto our Facebook page, and you're going to have to go back a week or two into April, we posted on our social media some of the pictures of the day. And I know it looks like people are having fun and relaxing, but the idea is to take these practices into the classroom.
Some of them.
Right. I know acupuncture into an MDSP classroom is just not happening. But talk about your idea for the day first off, and then kind of run us through some of the breakout rooms.
So we start planning our professional development months in advance. We probably should start planning even further in advance than we do, but in this regard, we plan it months in advance. And we always commonly are selecting topics that are pertinent to the teachers in order to teach the kids, but stuff that they kind of have sometimes over and over and over again.
Turns into a refresher more than a new idea.
It does.
Right.
And it always is in relation to their practice of teaching, not into anything other than that. For the most part is what our PDs have been. So we were brainstorming, our professional development committee, we were brainstorming some different things. And I kind of brought up about doing an unconventional professional development and what that would look like. And then through the course of discussion and meetings and more kind of morphing it, it turned into a very unconventional but awesome day. And the morning part of that training was our own curriculum and instruction. Mike Heater came in and did a trauma and resiliency training, which was hugely impactful and profound for a lot of the staff. And that just kicked off the day. And then we had a lunch, and we were able to kind of finagle and get like a food truck to come, just some niceties that our teachers and staff don't often get. And then it went into the afternoon, which is really what Bridget worked on planning. If you want to talk about how you selected the things.
Real quick, Dr. Michael Heater, he's real big on school climate. So
you can tell. Even at his way of presenting, as a trauma-informed presenter myself, there's a way to get material across that is sometimes heavy, but he has such a brightness, and he's so engaging that people were drawn in. There was laughs and
there was tears.
You could really see people kind of processing. We were talking about very heavy things in a group setting, but he just did it in a way that was able to reach so many people. And I think, again, as we as an IU are planning these PDs, it's really about delivering and how we deliver it.
If it's dry, it's not going to go across.
I think about like my own kids at school and teachers, or when I was in school. Did you learn more from the dry lecture, or did you learn more from something that was dynamic, engaging, interactive, maybe not so buttoned up? And I think that was really important too. So yeah, big shout out to Dr. Heater. That it was an amazing morning, and we're excited to have him again on Friday.
He's the best. He's an amazing opener. So I always love when I get to go to a PD of his. That first 15 minutes is usually pretty powerful. Didn't mean to cut you off.
No,
talk to us about your planning for the morning and after the morning.
So again, like Katie had said, we have really been kind of drilling our staff with technique and do this and write like this.
Best practices and instruction.
And we just decided, like, let's push pause. Let's give everybody a break. So I said, this is really something that I love to do. I used to run a buddy program when I was teaching, so I love making community partnerships. It's something that I'm very big on. I love connection. I just started spam calling, and we want to shout out to the Calming Space, which is on 309 in Schnecksville. They came out with gravity chairs. They did acupuncture, sound healing, and movement therapy. We had Larissa Noto, who it does yoga for teachers and mindfulness. So she was working with our staff to teach us how to work with students who may be nonverbal, who may have autism, who may have challenging behaviors, tapping, centering, using sound as therapy. We had our own OT, Amy Pigeon, come out and worked with everybody on hand crocheting a blanket that we then auctioned off for one of the teams.
Oh, great.
We had Celeste Green, who is one of our brand new school psychs on staff, come out and do a guided meditation for staff. And then we had therapy dogs from Lynn Burney and Katie Dyer. We had Nigel and Cueva. And it was just really powerful. We had everybody rotating, and then we also gave them breaks where they could make bracelets, they could put on temporary tattoos, play board games with each other. Really, our big goal was just about taking time to care for yourself, care for each other, and have fun. And the reactions were pretty substantial. We had a lot of people become emotional. They were very grateful. We had several people break down in tears during some of the meditation because it is a significant release of all the stress. And this is also a very busy time of year for educators.
When I first started this job, which is about 3 years ago, I was pretty video heavy and I was just interviewing all these people. When I'd ask them questions, I started to realize that they never actually even took time to even self-reflect. And so they'd be like, no one's asked me that question before. And I'm like, yeah, but don't you do it every day? And they're like, well, yeah. And it was just like this awkward silence. And I'm like, they're busy. Took me a couple months to kind of figure that out.
Sure.
I'm like, why don't these people know this stuff? And then it's like, it's a long day. It's a long year. And so when I ask these questions, they don't even have the time to self-reflect. So there might be even some grieving that's going on here. Maybe not lost, so to speak, but just watching a student move on.
I think it's an overall, that working in the low incidence.
Am I out of lane
No,
here?
No,
not at
you're
all.
not at all. No, working with low incidence population students. I mean, you kind of hit the nail on the head there that you have to have a game face on and you have to be very narrowly focused while you're with them. So the ability to maneuver time, to self-reflect, to take a pause moment, when you're dealing with really, really challenging behaviors, to be able to take a second and do some sort of internal calming thing. That's just not something that, number one, we expect our staff to do, even though we want them to. It's never been an expectation. And also, it's not something that we have ever encouraged within the confines of professionality and stuff like that. But it is hugely important because it is one of the most stressful jobs that we have. Gratifying and wonderful, but it is a constant stressful thing. And our staff don't leave work at work. You can't leave work at work when you deal with low incidence. They're coming home with it. They have true feelings and care and emotions for these students and for the trials that some of their families have to go through. And that's just not something that you leave at the door. So to be able to do this and give them strategies. There were a few things like we did some with the cloth scarves in the air and some sound play. Those were strategies that the staff could take and maybe do with the students. But the other things were really trying to instill some strategies that they could do for themselves, which in turn will help the students.
One last thing. Can we explain low incidence? I know you said it again, but is that just when you don't see the same thing? It's just not?
No, so disability category, especially when I was in college 20 years ago, we had high incidence disabilities. So those are disabilities that occur frequently. ADD, ADHD, learning disabilities, things like that. The low incidence are those more complex disabilities that sometimes are clustered. So you have intellectual disability with autism, with speech and language, with other health impairment. So when you think low incidence, it just means that it is happening at a lower rate.
Rare.
Correct. Typically a more significant disability, which leads to more complex interventions, needs, behaviors, etc.
Which means there's not like vanilla information out there or anything that you can really copy and paste to your child.
No.
Which is why the IU has such a wild objective.
Correct.
And IEPs for every single kid, obviously.
But just to piggyback on what Katie said, and I think it's kind of a natural segue into talking more about the parents too, is not only are our teachers game face all day long, we also hold a very specific responsibility in caring for students who are nonverbal. You have to build extensive trust with parents. You have to put so much time into relationship building and connection. And I was just at an IEP meeting an hour and a half ago, and I always say to the parents, thank you for trusting us, because this is a huge leap to put your student who is nonverbal on a bus and trust that they will be taken care of. So there is this significant need for compassion, emotion, and our teachers, I just feel at the end of the day, go home to their families, and sometimes they're just tired, emotionally, physically, not just the teachers.
Yeah.
When I say teachers, I say it in a very broad sense, meaning my classroom
Educators.
staff. I do.
Yeah.
I really do. And I'm very cognizant to value all of the staff because we could not do it without our IAs, without our ASIs. There's just without our drivers and monitors. It's so important, but that connection building and that transparent communication, and it's something that I'm very passionate about. I'm not going to lie to you. I'll tell you the good, the bad, the ugly, because the only way we're going to move forward with the child's progress as our goal is to trust each other in our open communication.
So we're talking a lot about how these teachers feel, but and the professional development, but what are some things from the PD that we can put out there? What are some thoughts, advice, actions that a parent or an educator can go home and take if they maybe weren't there that day, or they work at another IU or at a special education program at a school district that has their own? What are some things we have for moms, dads, teachers, anyone?
I think that a big global message that can be sent is the importance of finding time and taking time, whether it's a minute or an hour, to do something that's going to help like recenter yourself or give yourself some sort of reprieve or release. And so us being able to offer this during the workday in a professional development for them and show them that there are ways that you can, things that you can do. And each of these little sessions were only like 15, 20 minutes. So you were able to see a lot of change in people from going in one of the doors 20 minutes later coming out of a door. So just showing them the importance of finding it. We have all sat through, meetings and trainings and motivational talks where it's important to take time for yourself. What are things that you do for yourself? And we all make the list. I want to exercise more and be healthy and I want to eat better. And we all do these things, but it's really hard to to make sure you're doing it.
Yeah,
And
so the list means nothing if you're not
No.
separating yourself from your family or your job
Yep.
and just finding yourself by yourself to do
And
something.
what that looks like for everybody is going to be different. Some people maybe can only take 5 minutes. Some people
I
could
know
take
it sounds so broad, but just taking time to yourself
a half.
to do whatever it is you want.
Whatever.
Correct. I
If
totally
it's
agree.
sitting and closing your eyes and humming a song, if it's going out to your car
Just being
and
by yourself.
listening to music, just doing something, breathing. I mean, these aren't things that take a ton of time. And we by no means are experts in any of the holistic therapy approach of anything.
Katie and I are definitely not experts,
No.
but we definitely see the need for it.
We see the need for it, but we also saw
I'll take that.
the results that came from this just a couple hours of providing this. We saw the results, we saw the staff, we read the feedback, and it was just hugely impressive. And so that
My staff are
shows-
still talking about it. They're
people are
still thanking me.
And that was in
month later.
March.
A month later. So it just shows you that if we continue to help promote finding time, little teeny ways to do things and model it also. The supervisors were there. We were there. We were in the sessions. I was kumbayaing with everybody else. I was throwing scarves.
I have you with some
that-
acupuncture
I
needles in
know.
your ear with
At
Emily
some
Zapula.
point,
I
Katie
get it.
actually grabbed me and she said to me, "Go sit in a session."
Yes.
Because I was running around making sure the schedules were posted. And, Katie had done a lot of the morning. I took a lot of the afternoon. And even just having someone who can grab you and say, "Stop, go." That's so important. We talk about our teams too. Tell each other when they've hit a wall, because sometimes we don't recognize it in ourselves. Hey, I can tell that you've painted yourself into a corner. You need to go take a 5-minute walk. Go to your car and put on a song or two. Just take the time. So that was really important.
So let's go through some of the rooms that will give us some things to do for the people that are listening. Meditation. How did meditation go? The
Celeste.
acupuncture room in Celeste.
So Celeste Green did the meditation. She's our school psychologist, and she really just did, and I think it was different for every group, but it was in a darkened room with a salt lamp, and we all had
Some
yoga
light
mats or
music.
pillows, choice of seating, and she just talked to us.
Mhm.
Focus on body scans. She came around and did a little aromatherapy on temples if people wanted it. It was just very slow paced, very like what you think of, like very
Yeah.
mindful. I think that was one of the most impactful rooms.
She was almost in a way coaching us how to relax our bodies is what that was.
Great insight.
You can't
Yes.
get into a crazy in-depth meditation for in 15 minutes, 15, 20 minutes, which is what those sessions were. But she really was almost just talking us through the methods with which we needed to relax our bodies and how that might look for different people. So once again, that is something that now I can go back to my classrooms, and when I see a classroom struggling, I could take 15 minutes at the end of the day with them and be like, hey, everybody, let's remember this. Let's go back to this. Let's all sit together for 15 minutes here and just do some breathing and processing and let it go. I feel confident that I have the ability to do that. And they remember, oh yeah, remember how great that felt that day. So we'll do that. So that was one of them. One of the other ones,
that was Larissa Noto.
Noto, thank you. So they came and showed the groups how important sound and music can be also in centering yourself. And they had these little cute handheld
I played with them. I was there.
and
drums,
things like that.
Mhm.
One of my teachers actually went out and got one and keeps it in the classroom now and does a little twirly twirl when she needs to around the rim of the sound bowl.
There's also a picture of a couple of those instruments on the Facebook post if you want to go look.
I do also think that the technical term is a twirly twirl.
A twirly twirl.
Around the sound bowl.
Wow,
But
that's
again,
vocational.
I mean, come on. But she also said how important it is for the students, for the kids, that it's very centering. And there were times that you could literally feel it and it just relaxed you. It was really wonderful.
So we had the calming space, which is right down the road from our facility here in Schnecksville, come, and they did, when I say acupuncture, they didn't do the full scale acupuncture. They just did some light ear acupuncture if you wanted it. So enough to let you experience, maybe that's something that would work for you.
I've never had acupuncture. Did you feel something? Was it?
Yeah.
I did.
Absolutely.
And they did it in combination with the big sound bowl. And again, maybe it was just the environment. But who cares? It doesn't matter where the feeling comes from as long as you get that
release.
Yes. And again, we go. So do our staff. So to sit and just have somebody take care of you for 20 minutes.
Whether it's a pedicure, manicure.
It's amazing.
Go get a service done.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. But also, many people can't afford to get in this day and age to go and get those services done. So we were kind of offering options so maybe they can't go and get acupuncture done. In that session, they also talked about how there was sound therapy, but we also did group work together where I had to do a movement and then the person next to me had to mimic that movement. And then we were all in this same movement together. And it kind of helped to show how we needed to have unity, not just in the work times, but also in some of those downtimes that we may have and how we can do that. So it was just simplistically presented, yet hugely impactful.
I was just going to say, I actually, as we're talking, I'm just jotting things down as they come to my mind, but something I wrote down was pay for self-care. And that doesn't mean every week or every month, but maybe picking up pizza one night, if you could reallocate $20 and once a quarter, do something small for yourself as a parent, a caregiver. It's all about budgeting for priorities. And it's something that as an almost 42-year-old mom of two, I've started doing. I don't need new shoes or a new bag. It means more to me to be able to go and have a massage or get my hair done. It's all about what is important to me and then sticking to that priority. And it is self-care. You have to practice. You have to practice to keep that strong.
And it's funny because when I started this podcast, I was like, what are some tips and tricks? But it's like the tips and tricks can be anything. You do have to find time. So there is only one tip or trick, and that's to make the time for yourself. And then you just kind of do whatever you want. You can go on YouTube. Do you know how many people have a yoga video on YouTube? Probably 1 million. So if you want to do yoga, there's one on YouTube, you can do it, right? But are you giving yourself 25 minutes?
There are so many.
If you're not doing that, then like you said, the list of eating healthy and, getting grapes instead of chips, like that doesn't matter if you're not censoring yourself, taking that time. I understand.
There are a lot of free resources out there. I mean, YouTube, you can have guided meditation for free and hundreds of options. There's also a lot of incentives that they give to educators or people in the healthcare field. You just have to do a little research. But what we also see too is people try to do too much at once. I'm going to, quit smoking, exercise every day, eat non-processed food, stop drinking alcohol, and do yoga. And it's like, or say I'm going to set aside 10 minutes a week to do something that is just about me. It's not about being a mom or a dad or a husband or a wife or a friend, or it's just about you as a human being.
It's like going on vacation, trying to see the entire area that you're spending time in. It's like, that's not possible. You're just throwing kids in a minivan and driving around all day, rushing. Can't do that.
I think just to wrap back to the professional development, I think another really crucial yet behind the scenes decision that we made for this professional development was not to split up their teams. Oftentimes at professional developments and meetings and stuff like that, teams are split up. You want to talk to people you don't know, find somebody you don't know, talk about somebody you don't work with. Well, it makes it less dry. There's certainly a reason and a good point for that, but that also can drive some anxiety in people. And we do live in a world right now where anxiety is commonplace. It's common. It's a common term. It's a common thing. We purposefully did not split up those classroom teams and wanted them to go around to each of these different stations as a team, because let's look at it. Yes, it's a job, but we spend more than half of our lives with the people we work with.
That's right.
So if you're not able to engage in some mindfulness type activities and, do some things like that with those people, it's problematic. Do you know what I mean?
It's conflict resolution too, because you have so many adults in a classroom, a lot of cooks in the kitchen, and you're dealing with sometimes crisis level behaviors, or at the very least, decision fatigue, or just constant action. It's a partnership. It's almost like a marriage with 4 or 5 people in it. So we've been saying to our teams, you have to talk. You cannot let things fester. Maybe this will be a nice topic for a podcast in the future. Teaming and the importance of communication in our classrooms. Because
Let's do it.
But it really is so important. And I always say it's like kids that can tell parents that don't get along. They know. They may be nonverbal. They may have a disability. Our kids don't miss much. Receptively, they're taking it all in.
Very empathic.
100%.
It's like the vibrations and the frequencies are actually their means of communication, not English or Spanish or whatever. Well, I really appreciate you both for coming on. This was really good.
Thank you for having us.
This was season 3, episode 8, month of May episode of the Helping Children Learn podcast here at CLIU 21. Bridget, Katie, thank you so much.
Thanks, Dominic.
Thanks.